This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. This is Python's Paradise, your film and music show. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, I've had a number of the folks from Friday the 13th franchise on here. I've had Adrian King on here from the original, and I have had somebody give me contact information on Ron Milky, Officer Dorf. I haven't been able to make that connection, but I did make an awesome connection today. I have Annie herself, Robbi Morgan, who's going to teach us all about the hazards of hitchhiking, among other things on here. Welcome to the show, Robbi.
Oh, thank you, Greg. Hello, everyone.
How you doing, Robbi? I heard that when you was talking to me through Messenger, that you just got done a musical. Now you're involved in musical theater, right?
Oh, yes. Musical theater is very dear to my heart. I love singing and dancing, and I've been a part of musical theater since I'm a little girl. So it's something that I always, try to be a part of.
So I'm going to take a guess. You were involved in a musical called Annie, right?
You know what? This is a funny story. When I was a little girl, I did a show before Annie came out. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give away, I'm kind of aging myself, but it was a show about Shirley Temple.
Okay.
And I did that show for my whole childhood. And then when Annie started auditioning, I was on the older side and I didn't get Annie. So the fact, and it was heartbreaking for me at the time, but the fact that I'm Annie in Friday the 13th and I get to be Annie, well known by, so many of the fans is such a sweet thing. So I got to be Annie after all.
That is kind of funny. I actually had somebody from the movie Annie on here back in January. Roseanne Sorrentino, celebrating that film's 35th anniversary. She played Pepper.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So we had a little bit of Annie on here, and we're going to have more Annie on here today, except that, unfortunately, Sean Cunningham didn't allow you to do any singing and dancing in the film. It might have kept you alive.
Maybe, yeah, boy. But he had me running in the woods pretty good. As a matter of fact, there is a song that somebody very well, I don't know if I should be talking about this, but a dear friend of mine wrote a song about Friday the 13th, and it's kind of like Annie's character. It's called What Was That? And it's a spoof on the movie Friday the 13th, and it's also for the fans. I'm not sure how much the fans would love it because it's very Broadway. There's a lot of Broadway throws to it. Very inside. You have to really know theater to get the song. Okay. But I'm always wanting to sing it. For everybody. You never know. Maybe one day I will. It's called What Was That?
You'll have to do that one of the conventions.
I should. It's sort of like a spoof also on Into the Woods.
Into the Woods.
Red Riding Hood.
Great movie, yeah.
Yeah. Except she sings in this song, why should she be afraid? Who on earth would try to kill her? So it's very cute. I love it.
It's interesting, too, because Canadian musician John Lajoie, who's a comedian, did a very serious song on his experience when he first saw Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, during a scene involving a pair of hedge clippers. And I didn't know John Lajoie had done this until I was about to interview Debbie Sue Voorhees, who played the victim at that scene. And Debbie Sue was telling me that she's been in touch with John, but she said, yeah, that was John losing his innocence during that scene where she's nude and she gets the hedge clippers in the eye in Part 5. And it reminded me of when I was young. Like, I would have been 8 years old when Friday the 13th came out. But in my early teens, my cousins baited me into watching Part 2. And I've told this story to Adrienne King, and I've told it to others. It was the first time I had seen nudity. A female.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that was the moment when the woman goes in to go skinny dip, and that was the moment my mom rushed in and turned the television off.
Oh, it's funny. A lot of people, when I do the conventions, the story is very similar. You know, the guys come up to the table and they say, I wasn't old enough to see the movie, but my older brother took me and, you know, snuck me into the movie theater, and I was hooked, ever since, and I was scared to death. You know, a lot of people saw the Friday the 13th movies like that, you know, where they kind of were snuck in, or they weren't supposed to, or they saw it before they were supposed, old enough to see it. Mm-hmm. So I hear that all the time.
Actually, my older brother and I saw Part 7 in 1988 in the theater, and neither one of us were 18. My brother would have been 17. And how we got in, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have to be honest with you, Greg. I don't really love the horror genre because it's too scary for me. So I can't really say that I've seen, any of the Friday the 13th or the Halloweens or any of the movies because they're too scary.
Well, you do like musicals. Here's my question. What's your favorite musical in terms of movies?
Well, I have to say, I have a lot of favorites.
Okay, name some.
I think Singing in the Rain is probably right up in the top 3.
Fantastic.
Maybe number 1, yeah.
I think that's the greatest musical of all time, is Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, and Donald O'Connor was a dear, dear friend of mine, and he would call me on the phone, and because Donald O'Connor was a child performer as well, mm-hmm. and so we had a lot in common, and he would call me on the phone, and he called me Miss McDimple, because the show that I was doing before Annie was called Curly McDimple.
Okay.
So he gave me the nickname Miss McDimple, and I still use it till today. I'll with dear friends that know that I was in the show, I'll say, you can call me Miss McDimple. Or I'll write AKA Miss McDimple.
That make him laugh number he does where he flips off the wall. Oh man, that was brilliant.
Oh yeah, Singing in the Rain is an amazing movie. As a matter of fact, I'll share a little something with you.
Sure.
This Friday night, the 30th, June 30th, they are naming one of the theaters here in town the Debbie Reynolds Showroom.
Yeah.
It's a small little theater called the El Portal Theater, and they're putting on a tribute. It'll be a tribute evening, because they're naming the showroom, and there will be 60 dancers on stage in yellow slickers tap dancing.
Wow.
And so I'm going to be a part of that, and that's just, that'll be so much fun to be on stage and, tap dancing for Debbie.
It's funny, too, because for the classic film series that plays once or twice a month up at the mall, a couple of months ago they did Singing in the Rain, and I attended both screenings of it. It's a great movie to see on the big screen.
Oh, absolutely. And then, of course, American in Paris is one of my favorites. And, oh, my gosh, I would have to really, sit and think. But those two are unbelievable. And then, of course, all the Fred Astaire movies. But we're here to talk about Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. No music in that except for Harry Manfredini. He does do all those awesome sounds.
Yes. Could you imagine? He could have never imagined when he was sitting and trying to figure out, a sound for that movie that it would be as iconic as it is today. I mean, when I see Harry at the conventions, he's such a sweetheart. And, he was fooling around in this basement on a keyboard when he came up with that kill. That iconic sound,
Yeah.
I think everybody feels the same way about Friday the 13th Part 1. None of us had any idea that it was going to become what it has become. I mean, we're all thrilled, but nobody. It was a very low budget, little movie, and we were just all glad to be working,
When you got the part as Annie, was it just a standard audition that you got that part?
It was actually, I was auditioning for something else. I went in for, I can't even remember what it was for, but it was just, I had an audition that day, and it was for Julie Hughes of Moss Hughes Casting. And Julie said to me, Robbi, you're not really right for what I'm doing, but down the hall, they're looking for camp counselors. So go down the hall and meet. And she sort of set up, I guess she called the casting director in the other room. I don't really remember going down the hall that day and meeting. I must have, though. I went down the hall and met with whoever was there. And then when they called me back because there was no dialogue for Annie to read.
Okay.
And so I remember just going in on the callback for Sean Cunningham. And the callback was at the Minskoff Theater, believe it or not, on I can't remember the exact address. It's like 1515 Broadway or something, in one of the rehearsal studios. They were seeing everybody for camp counselors. They were just seeing everybody. And I even brought one of my brothers with me to meet Sean as well. Because at the time, it was like, oh, yeah, we need camp counselors. Sure, you could bring your brother. They didn't really know what they wanted. They just wanted to meet everyone. And I didn't have any dialogue yet to read for Sean. But at the time, I remember saying, Sean, I'm an acrobat. Watch, I could do this. And I did some tumbling for him in the room, And I was very energetic and friendly and ready and wanting to work. And I think Sean went, oh my gosh, this girl is Annie. and then they wrote a little bit more, they made the scene a little bit bigger for me.
Yes.
And of course, I was thrilled, and I was thrilled to get the job and be working. But it was so low budget, it was like really, I drove myself to the location that day, I remember, and I'm from New Jersey,
mm-hmm.
and it was just like that,
Yeah, and of course, the first time we see you, we walking through that little tunnel, and you're all smiling and whatnot. You think you were going to burst into song right then.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you see the dog, and you get its gender mixed up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Was that dog part of the script, or is that just on the spot thing?
Gosh, I really think it must have been. It must have been on the spot. I think it was just there was a dog there at that gas station. Okay. And Sean was like, Robbi, go over and say hi to the dog. Okay. It was. I believe it was improv.
Okay.
Yeah. It all was very, very loose. We were all kind of just flying by the seat of our pants a little bit when we were shooting it, I'm going to let you ask questions, though, about that.
Well, I know that, you see the dog, you go, excuse me, hi, boy. And then you go up into the diner there.
Hey, girl. I go, hey, girl, excuse me, hi, boy.
You go into the diner, and I got to ask you about Walt Gorney, who played Crazy Ralph, because I think he should have had at least one more scene in that movie, because boy, what a scene stealer he was.
Absolutely, I wish he would have too. And what a sweetheart! He was a very sweet, quiet guy, but he was so scary. That character was so creepy, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, Adrian King described him. Adrian King described him as one strange dude.
Oh, yeah. His body language was kind of weird, and just his whole persona as Crazy Ralph was just very creepy. The way he rode that bike, and oh, my goodness. You didn't have to, all you had to do was just, really be in the moment and just react to the guy, It was like, ugh. It was really scary.
Yeah,
it was very easy to feel that scary feeling,
Yeah, he, like Adrian King, got into the sequel, and both of them didn't make it to the third part either. But I take it you
I
didn't see the second one, huh?
I didn't see the second one, but I did. I think I'm in the second one, but I'm just dead in the Jeep.
Yeah, you're in a dream sequence. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Adrian King is picked off at the beginning of it, and then goes 5 years later, and Crazy Ralph makes another return, and he doesn't make it out of the camp the second time. So, but he's trying to warn them, and goes unheeded.
Right, right.
But I love the presence of him. He just like you're going to Camp Blood, ain't you?
Yeah. Oh, he's just and the hat, just scary, just scary. He was perfect. Yeah.
And to ride that bicycle.
Yeah. Oh, creepy.
And of course,
Very creepy.
Rex Everhard playing the truck driver, Enos, who tries to warn you as well, and he tries to do it as diplomatic as possible, but you're not taking his heed either.
Nope. Definitely not. I was determined to get to that camp. I had a lot of kids to cook for.
Yeah.
I never made it there. I never made it.
What was it like
to work? Which means, I didn't get to work with everybody. I didn't get to work with any of the other actors, which would have been a lot of fun if I did.
Well, you get to work with Rex. Now, what was he like?
Oh, he was the nicest guy. The nicest guy. Everybody that I worked with, he was exactly like he is in the movie. Real regular guy, I only got to work 2 days on Friday the 13th. 2 days. So it was very quick, We did all those scenes in 2 days. And Sean was right there directing, like getting out of the Jeep. He'd say, okay, now, lift her up by the tushy, to get her into the Jeep. All those little nuances, that was Sean for sure.
Okay.
Which is all like, oh my gosh, he's going to be in trouble. It was great. It was really great. Those little things. That's what makes movies,
Well, Sean just came off of producing Last House on the Left, so of course Friday the 13th looks innocent compared to that film.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen it. Is it? It must be really scary. I don't know.
Let me just put it this way: it's difficult. It's well made, I'll say that, but it's difficult to watch because it's in the same vein as Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh God.
Yeah. And I like the
That's a
Texas
scary
Chainsaw
one.
Massacre, but there comes a point where it just comes off, even though it's scripted, it almost looks like it's a snuff film, even though it's not. You get me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Those are scary.
Those are scary. Like to me, I find something like Halloween or Friday the 13th. I don't take them so seriously. They're scary, but they're kind of fun scary. Last House on the Left, I don't find myself having a lot of fun anytime I've seen it. So it's
Right.
It's like what Eli Roth is doing today with the Hostel films. They're not easy to watch. And I think
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Okay.
horror films should have an element of fun to them,
Right.
Yeah.
I grew up watching movies like Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and
Oh yeah.
which were very scary. Which were very, very scary.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one. Of course, Psycho.
Oh. Yep.
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 A lot of people feel like I was the Janet Leigh character in Friday the 13th. Like, it looks like I'm going to be, the lead character in Friday the 13th, but I don't last too long. Opening the film but oh well.
I understand though that you did your own stunts in that film though.
Oh yeah, I did, because I grew up being an acrobat, and dancing and doing all of that stuff. So when they wanted somebody to jump out of the Jeep, I was like, I could jump out of the Jeep.
You almost landed on your head.
Well, not quite. I jumped and landed feet first, and then I kind of roll.
Okay.
And what they did was they put a blanket, under the dirt. They kind of patted the dirt.
Okay.
So when I landed, I didn't land, on a hard surface,
Okay.
Yes, I'm very proud of my jumping out of the Jeep stunt and running through the woods. And Sean was, running behind me and saying, "Okay, now fall, and now fall again, and run, and now you hurt your leg," and it was all like that.
Yeah.
It was all like that. That's how we did it, and I think it was very authentic,
Oh, yes, it was.
Yeah.
And I do know that you got to work with somebody I'm hoping to get on the show here in the future. I'm working on it, but I know you got to work with Tom Savini.
Oh, Tom. Yes, I did. Yes. It was so much fun. I had so much fun with Tom. Tom and his assistant Tasso, they were fun and silly, and we were up at a camp, and it was a great time. I was very young, and it was like, we were all having a good time doing this movie at a camp. What could be more fun? And Tom,
yeah.
He's fun. Tom's a fun guy.
Tell me about the setup where you, of course, get your throat slashed in that
Right.
pivotal scene. And tell me about the process of Tom making you up for that.
Well, the first time I met Tom, I went up to Connecticut. There was I'm not sure whose studio got set up there for Tom to, do some of those early fittings, First, they had to fit my neck with there's pictures of it, with the piece that he was going to make, So I met Tom and Tasso that first time, and he measured my neck and got all that done. And then really the next time was when we were shooting, and really and truly, Greg, we shot my death scene once.
That's it.
Because we were losing the light. It was getting late, and they put that piece on my neck, and Tom was working the blood off camera with a little tube that ran up my sleeve and underneath that piece. And they, Tasso is the one really whose arm you see pulling the knife across my neck. It's really Tasso. And when you see the movie, whoever it is, it's supposed to be Betsy Palmer, but Betsy Palmer has hair on her arm.
Yeah, I've heard comments about when Mrs. Voorhees is beheaded, and you see the hands reaching up, and you see a little bit of hair on the knuckles.
I'm not sure who was it, Tasso or who was it?
I don't know whether it was Tasso or Tom. It was one of them. I do know that. I think it was Tasso. I think it was Tom that swung the machete, but I don't know.
Yes, because it was very, like I said, very low. We all know it was very low budget, and Sean was making it all work on the spot, and so when they slashed my throat and the blood came out years ago, the blood, it stains your skin, so we did the scene, and then Tom had a little scooter up at the camp.
Okay.
And I jumped on the back of the scooter. He's like, "Come on, we got to, you got to go jump in the shower and get that blood off your neck." So we did it once. Isn't that crazy?
Did it come off?
Once. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great moment. And, of course, we see you again, of course, in the Jeep when Adrienne King, of course, is fleeing from the cabin. She sees the Jeep. She opens the Jeep, and, of course, there's your body there. And
Right.
That was you. That wasn't a dummy, huh?
Oh, no, that was me.
Okay.
That was definitely me. I got to go back to the camp one more time.
Well,
And, they were doing night shoots.
yeah.
They were doing night shoots. So that was really creepy because, there we were up at the camp at night, and you heard, the screaming and, while they were shooting. But I don't care who you are. It was creepy.
What was Adrienne King like with the? I interviewed her. I love Adrienne King. What was your experience?
She's a sweetheart. She's a sweetheart.
She's doing well with that Crystal Lake Wines. Have you seen that?
Yes, she really is. What a great idea.
Yes.
That was such a great idea.
Yeah, she was actually my second interview. I started doing these in 2015, and after my first one, it was like, who else can I contact? And I kind of went back to my childhood, and I immediately thought, of course, the Friday the 13th franchise, and I couldn't believe it when I got a response, and I had her on, and she discovers you in the Jeep, and then Steve Christie, Peter Brower, up there in that tree that falls down, so he's dangling. So very creepy.
Sean Cunningham, he's such a sweet guy. He must have had so much fun, coming up with all those scary moments,
Yeah. And of course,
like a kid in a candy store. Oh, let's do this. Let's do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. And it really worked. The fans went crazy.
And of course, Steve Miner worked on the film, and of course, he went on to direct the second and third part. Yep. But aside from that, you didn't did you get to meet Betsy Palmer or any of the rest of the cast?
It's at the time, no. At the time, I didn't get to meet really anyone else.
Okay.
I've got a funny story about Betsy Palmer. I did, of course, get to meet Betsy Palmer, afterwards.
Okay.
And I got to see her at different conventions, and she was such a doll. She was such a sweetheart. And, she was a very legit actress. She was a theater actress.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, she played, and I mean years ago, like back in 1967 or 68, I can't remember the exact year, but Betsy Palmer played Peter Pan in a production of Peter Pan.
Okay.
And my brother was one of the Lost Boys with Betsy Palmer in that production.
Well, today they got Allison Williams playing Peter Pan. So.
It's such a small world, Show business is a very small world. Everybody gets to work with everybody. So Betsy Palmer was absolutely a sweet, and I'm sure, what a crazy thing for her to do, a horror movie and it to become as big as Friday the 13th, and then for her to be so well known, for that. I'm sure she never expected that.
Well, I think she did it to get that a vehicle. I guess she needed a running vehicle. So
yeah, she was broke and she needed some money for a car. I love that story.
Yep, but I guess she really came to embrace the fans. She passed away, I think, about a week or two after I'd interviewed Adrienne King. So. Yeah.
So you didn't get to talk with her.
No, I didn't. It would have been really cool to do so, but I have seen video of her at the conventions, and she seems just genuinely friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you did
always wear this weird sweater.
Yes.
At the convention she always. And actually, when I go and I meet the fans, I love to wear a certain shirt that looks like the shirt that I wore in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they love it. They love it. They go, "Oh my gosh, you still have your shirt."
I know you didn't get to work with the other cast, but I do have to say a special R.I.P. for Laurie Bartram, who played Brenda. Unfortunately, no longer with us. Passed away way too young.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and of course Kevin Bacon came out of that movie. What did he ever do after that?
Right. Oh, gosh. I have no idea. He's such an incredible... I ran into Kevin at a dog park, here in LA, and I introduced myself. And we were in a movie together. He was a sweet guy. Very sweet.
Yeah, in the movie, you both had throat and neck problems.
Yeah, he really did. Man, his death was scary, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
My gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But when you went to the premiere of that, did you go to the premiere when that was released?
I did.
What was that like?
Absolutely. Well, doing the movie was not scary at all. It was a lot of fun, running in the woods, and we were all there, creating that whole thing. And so it wasn't until I saw the movie with the music behind it and sat there in the theater, that was when I started having bad dreams. I had a definite nightmare.
Okay.
Seeing the movie for the first time with that scary soundtrack,
Okay.
So that's what it was like. Seeing the movie, it was like, oh my goodness. It was scary as hell.
Yeah, it's a good thing you didn't have to run in the woods at night.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, she caught you when it was daylight. And of course, one thing about Tom Savini, I've come to find out, and I actually looked this stuff on YouTube just for laughs. Tom Savini, I guess, started the whole shoot the rubber bands at the conventions.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah, I found that out from Adrian King, but I seen him on YouTube having a rubber band war with Danny Trejo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were at conventions, and they were all shooting rubber bands at Tom, and somebody had said, where did this start? And I said, I bet you Tom Savini is the guilty one that started that.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I would put money on that as well. Yeah, he's a kid. He loves fooling around and having a good time. For sure. We used to, Tom and I and Tasso, we would walk on our hands together. We walked on our hands down the dirt road, when we were shooting all those, running scenes and killing scenes. Yeah.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. One of the victims in Friday the 13th Part 3 walks on his hands. And
really?
Yep. And that was filmed in 3D, and he comes all of a sudden across Jason, and Jason just shoots that machete down at him.
Oh my goodness.
But he was doing a handstand walk when he was doing it.
Huh. That's fun.
Yep. So, there was a handstand in Part 3. But,
wow.
Yeah. But one thing I did tell Adrian King, and I got to mention this, did you see Tom Savini in Perks of Being a Wallflower?
No.
Now, that was not a horror movie. That was a little teen flick that had Emma Watson of Harry Potter fame in it. And Tom Savini is playing a shop teacher in it. And when I saw him in it, I was like, what is Tom Savini doing in this film? And I had somebody tell me that they probably shot it in Philadelphia or wherever it is he's from, because usually when film companies come through there, they can get him quite easily. But if you ever get a chance to see Perks of Being a Wallflower, he has a funny small part in it as a shop teacher.
Oh, I will keep my eye out for that one.
Yeah, it's got Emma Watson in it from Harry Potter, so it's a great film. Now, we have to ask you about some of your other films. Of course, you had mentioned that you got to work with, you get to see briefly as the younger version of Patty Duke and Me Natalie.
Yes, that's right.
What a film that was. Patty Duke, Martin Balsam, Bob Balaban, the year he even did Midnight Cowboy, and Al Pacino.
Is Al Pacino in Me Natalie?
Well, according to, of course, I don't know. I got you listed for a credit in Internet Movie Database that you claim you weren't in, so maybe Al Pacino's not in it. I don't know.
I'm not sure about that. But that movie, I was a little girl, and it was my memories of that movie. It was supposed to be winter, and of course they shot it in the summer, and I was in a lot of heavy, rain boots and raincoat, and it was sweltering. We shot it in Brooklyn in the summer, and I did my whole scene under a bed.
Okay.
That's what I remember. I was really young. I was really young when we did that movie, but you know, it was years ago. Years after that, doing Curly McDimple, I was on the David Frost show,
Okay.
publicizing the show Curly, and Patty Duke was a guest.
Okay.
And so that was really, really a cool moment, because I was on the talk show in my curly wig, like looking like Shirley Temple. And of course, in Me Natalie, you know, I was playing her as a child, so I had my long dark hair, and it was fun for her to come on and say, "Oh, Robbi and I did a movie together," you know, and talk about Me Natalie. So that was really a wonderful moment that I still, when I show people that clip, you know, it's pretty special.
And of course, we're talking about Debbie Reynolds earlier, and what a contribution she did in film with Singing in the Rain. And you did a movie called What's the Matter with Helen? And of course, Debbie Reynolds is in that.
Yes, and it was a horror movie with, you know, Debbie Reynolds and Shelley Winters. Debbie Reynolds has a dancing school in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was one of the little girls in the movie in her dancing school. My name was Rosalie. And she put on a little recital in the movie, you know, in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
One little girl was Shirley Temple, and the other little girl played Mae West, and I was Mae West.
Okay.
And I sing a whole song in the movie called "Oh You Nasty Man" as Mae West. And the whole premise of the movie was there was a murder that took place. And in the movie, Shelley Winters is like, you know, having all these flashbacks and is losing her mind, you know. Shelley Winters is the pianist in the dancing school. And when we were doing the recital scene, they had a professional screamer with a megaphone off stage because they wanted all the little girls' reactions.
Okay.
And so you can see when you look at that clip, they didn't tell us that there would be somebody screaming off camera, because they wanted us all to kind of have that look on our face like, oh my God, what is that? But don't stop what we're doing, you know? And you can see my face. We all kind of like, we hear the screaming and we look over like, oh my God, what's that? But we keep tap dancing.
And of course,
it's a pretty scary movie.
Oh,
You know, Debbie Reynolds winds up getting murdered by Shelley Winters. It's very scary.
And of course, Dennis Weaver is in that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dennis Weaver.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
what was it like for you to get to work with Debbie Reynolds? I mean, that must have been a big thing for you.
Oh, it was so much fun. You know, there were a lot of little girls on the movie, and we were singing and dancing. We weren't really singing; we were just dancing, and we were in the little dancing school, and it was a lot of fun. At the time, my memory was they shot the movie on Filmways Studios at Filmways Studios, and that was the studio where they did the Beverly Hillbillies. I don't know if you remember the
Oh, yes, I
Beverly
do.
Hillbillies.
Oh, yeah, I do.
But for all of us kids to get to meet all the Beverly Hillbillies was a lot of fun. You know, anytime you're working on a movie like that, and there's a lot of other little kids, and you know, you're having a ball, because you're all, even though you're working and you're still kids, you're playing, you're hanging out, you know, you're killing time all together. So, you know, I did a lot of that as a little girl. You know, I worked a lot as a child. So it was a lot of fun. When we were shooting with the scenes with Shelley Winters, they didn't want us like interacting with Shelley Winters at all, because she had to be kind of crazy.
Okay.
And so she kind of was like, you know, very, very into her role. And, you know, they would tell us, don't talk to Shelley Winters. She's needing to, you know, be very focused. So that was my memory of that. You know, you know. But Debbie Reynolds was a doll, and we danced together. We all danced together, and it was great fun. It was a lot of fun doing What's the Matter with Helen. And if you see it, you could see me as Mae West at 9.
I've got to see that. Yeah, I just one you
I'm in
mentioned.
full blonde wig with full Mae West, fake boobs, fake hips. A very famous choreographer did the choreography for the number. So it was a wonderful, wonderful time.
You mentioned a lot about dancing and whatnot. I'm just curious. Have you seen Black Swan, and what did you think of that?
You know, my daughter, I have a daughter, her name is Goldie, and she is a professional ballerina. And she dances with the Kansas City Ballet Company.
Yeah.
And so Black Swan was there are aspects of Black Swan that are true, you know, where it's ballet is very, very difficult, but it was a horror movie. So they pushed the envelope to make it as creepy as they did, you know. Again, it was to make it a horror movie like that. They had to really, make it dark the way they did. But so I like the other ballet movies, the more realistic ballet movies, because again, I don't really love horror movies.
Did you like Fame?
Because it kind of freaked me out.
Did you like?
When she started growing the feathers?
Yeah. Did you like
Black
Fame?
Swan, it's like, oh my God.
Did you like Fame?
Oh, Fame was amazing.
I had Antonia Franceschi on my show a couple of years ago, who played, of course, the ballet dancer who ended up having the abortion. And I'm still in touch with her. I had her on for the 35th anniversary of the film, and
she was great in that movie.
And she's still as stunning today as she was back then.
Oh wow, she was spectacular. I thought she was great in the movie in Fame.
I didn't know when I contacted her. I didn't know she was one of the backup dancers in Grease as well. But when I found out, I knew exactly which one she was.
Oh yeah. Fame was. As a matter of fact, last night on the radio, they were playing the last song, the finale of Body Electric, and it's just you never get tired of hearing it.
No.
You never get tired of hearing all that music.
No. Well, you mentioned too, of course, you've done stunt work, and I noticed you got a credit here for The Great Outdoors. Did you do stunt work on The Great Outdoors?
Yes, I was in the bear suit.
Were you really?
My brother Gary Morgan was he doubled animals.
Okay.
So, it's a very interesting. My brother doubled the dog in Cujo.
Oh, I've done some interviews from Cujo.
Yeah, well, he was in the dog suit.
Okay.
So that the dog didn't, get hurt, like in all of those very scary scenes in the car when breaking the window. He was in the dog suit, and he also did the movie Matilda, where he was in the kangaroo suit, and he was doing The Great Outdoors, and he had something else to do, and he's like, Robbi, do you want a couple of days work, in the bear suit? So I was like, well, okay, sure. So the day before I went to do it, I was like, oh boy, I better put this bear suit on because I'd never been in the bear suit,
Okay.
It was very scary. It was very claustrophobic because when they put your hands on and they Velcro your hands on the, in and everything, you can't take the suit off. So it's very, very claustrophobic. Like when you need to get out of it, to go to the bathroom or anything like that, you're like, could somebody help me get out of this bear suit, So luckily, the day that I worked on the movie, I only had to put the head on. And I did a scene with Dan Aykroyd in the woods, and I only had to wear the head.
So you didn't get your hind quarters blown off.
No. And I was so grateful because, he just needed to do the scene, and talk to the bear. So I just had the head on, and it was so funny. They kept asking Dan Aykroyd, Dan, are you okay? Is this good for you? Is this working for you? And he was like, yeah, it's fine. And I was so grateful that I didn't have to put the whole suit on,
I met Dan Aykroyd years ago. He was doing a wine signing here because I guess he has his own brand of wine, and he stopped by here in Fredericton, and I got my picture taken with him, and he signed my Blues Brothers DVD, and that was pretty cool. So, and
yeah, really cool.
So you get to work with Dan. You didn't get to work with John Candy?
Nope. No, I just did that one scene with Dan Aykroyd, but I met him when I was a bear. Too bad you didn't have that bear head. You could go into one of those conventions and scare Tom Savini. I could arrange that. I think my brother still has the bear suit.
These conventions they seem like a lot of fun. I've never been outside New Brunswick. I'm a horrible person when it comes to traveling, but I just wonder, and this is something I ask everybody, when you're at these conventions, what's the most unique thing you've ever been asked to sign?
Oh gosh, let me think about that. Well, I was in Germany last year.
Okay.
And gosh, they had some people love this genre so much that they have created pieces that look like they're out of the movie, pieces of, driftwood that look like part of the movie. They've made things that look like they come out of the movie that aren't in the movie, so, big signs and, I sign all those kinds of things,
Yeah.
People have brought me very, very interesting posters from around the world to sign that I'm in, that I love signing. So all sorts of things like that,
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
and I'm going to London. I'm going to London at the end of July to a convention.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to meeting everybody there in the UK that are going to come out, for that convention.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Is something for the Friday the 13th, or just a horror convention, or what?
Well, yes, it'll be for Friday the 13th, but, there'll be a lot of different people there. Everybody shows up to those conventions. I'm not sure what the convention is called. I wish I had that handy so I could let everybody know to come to London to say hi to me.
Yeah.
But it is at the end of July, so that's where I'll be. It's the weekend of July 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Okay. Do you get any?
Yeah.
Do you get any charities or any web pages or anything like that you'd like to plug on here?
Oh, I wish I do. I wish I did, but I don't at the moment. I don't.
Well, I was wondering, if a person wanted an autographed picture, where would they be able to go? Especially for somebody like me who never travels.
Well, like I said, I do have a fan page.
Okay.
I have a Friday the 13th fan page, so people could get in touch with me there.
Okay. You're active on that, huh?
Well, I need to be more active on that. I got to take a peek, but I'll take a peek, and if more people start showing up there, I will. People can request photos on there. I think that's how they could get a photo of me.
Yeah, because I would love to get an autograph, Robbi. I would love that.
Well, I think I can arrange an autograph for you, Greg.
I did get Adrian King, and now you're my second interview from the film, so I'm.
I'm honored.
Yeah, I did interview Mike Guttridge, who did a movie called The Bone Collector, where he worked with a couple people from Part 3, and he worked with Ron Milkey, who was Officer Dorff, as well, from the original. And he gave me the contact information for him, but he hasn't responded yet.
Ron is sweetheart. Ron's a New Yorker, so
Yeah.
I don't know what Ron's up to these days, but what a nice guy.
Well, the Bone Garden was really good, and it was pretty cool to see him playing a cop again in that movie. But it had a couple of Part 3 alumni in that too. So Mike Guttridge, the director, was happy to come on here and promote that. So yeah, maybe I'll get Ron on here. I think he's out trying to pursue Ralph and finally arrest him.
Oh, that's funny. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you.
And yes, and I'm going to connect you with Scotty McCoy.
Okay.
You'll like him. So keep an eye on your messages, because he'll be so delighted when he finds out that you'd speak with him. He's he's a great guy, and he's done a lot to promote this genre. So in his first book, the Ultimate Friday the 13th trivia book was fantastic. I've got it, and I'm looking forward to this interview book that he's doing. So I think it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, great. I will definitely, look, when I hear from him, I would love to talk with him as well.
Okay. Before you go, can I get you to do a plug for my show?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. You ready?
Okay. You want me to do it right now?
Sure.
Okay. Hey, everybody. This is Robbi Morgan. I played Annie in Friday the 13th, Part 1, and you are listening to Python Paradise with Greg Gilbert.
Absolutely.
How is that? Should I do another one?
Well, you could do another one if you want to, and just add the New Brunswick, Canada, if you want to. But
okay.
other than that, not a big criticism.
Python Paradise with Greg Gilbert in
New Brunswick, Canada.
New Brunswick, Canada.
Yeah, because it's in New Brunswick and New Jersey, so we can't get that mixed up.
That's right. Okay, ready?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, everybody, this is Robbi Morgan. I was Annie in Friday the 13th, Part 1, and you're listening to Python Paradise with Greg Gilbert in New Brunswick, Canada.
Thank you so much, Robbi, for coming on this show.
My pleasure. And you should give me your address so I could send you an autographed picture.
Before we go, I got to ask you about your last name. It's Robbi Morgan, of course, Wahlberg. And I got to say, you related to the Marky Mark? Is that who you're married to?
You know what? I have my own Marky Mark. And my husband is the Mark Wahlberg.
Okay.
He's the host of Antiques Roadshow.
Okay.
And he's done many, many different television shows, but I think the audiences will know him from Antiques Roadshow. And I love him in his Calvins.
Okay. Well, just think, does he have a special friend named Ted?
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't have a magic teddy bear?
Nope.
You couldn't have Ted in the house.
No, definitely not. But the funny thing is that, my husband was very successful in television before the other Mark Wahlberg came on the scene. So I consider my Mark Wahlberg as the Mark Wahlberg.
Well, you know what? I'll go with you on that.
Okay.
Well,
that sounds good.
How long have you two been married?
You know what? We are about to celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary in August.
Fantastic. You don't hear about that. I just had William Daniels on here from The Graduate. And he and his wife, he's 90, his wife is 87, and they've been married since 1951. You don't hear about that today.
I know. And I'm so proud to be part of, Mark and I, being together for as long as we have. And I feel so lucky and so blessed. And we have two amazing kids. I talked about my daughter earlier being a ballerina, but I'm so proud. I have a son. We named him Morgan to keep the name alive.
Yeah.
His name is Morgan, and he is a Navy pilot.
Wow.
And so we are so proud of him and our daughter Goldie. We just have the most blessed life, and we are so grateful.
Did your husband meet you by chasing you through the woods?
No. No, no, you didn't.
Well, Robbi,
But-
thank you so much for coming on and blessing my show and allowing me the honor to interview you.
Oh, Greg, it's a pleasure, and good luck with the show, and thank you for having me.
It was an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you, Greg. And we'll talk again soon.
We will. God bless
Okay.
you, and you have yourself a great day.
Oh, thank you. You too. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.